car might be called the MG4, but to me, it's a modern day version of the original MG Metro. And it looks like MG's trying to revive their legendary past with some new electric vehicles like this. Now, just like the original Metro, MG is offering a few flavors with this new electric MG4. You've got everything from this entry-level affordable electric car all the way through to a rally car concept that's reminiscent of the 6R4. Now, I've got this car for a couple of days, so I'm going to answer two questions. One, just how good is one of the cheapest electric cars you can buy here in Australia? And number two, is it fun to drive? Now, this MG4 is the Excite 51, so it's going to cost you $38,990 before on-roads and incentives. That is cheap for an electric car. So let's see what you're getting. 1, big MG badge. 2, sculpted bonnet. 3, I really like these LED lights. They're nice and bright at night as well. I like the sort of staggered lines that go through it, give it a distinct look up front. Now, you are getting plenty of aero up front because they want this to be as aerodynamic as possible to maximize the range that this car has. And I actually really do like the front design here. Now, under the bonnet, there is no front storage or even an electric motor. There's just some crucial fluids you might need to check on, but everything else is at the back. But as we make our way towards the back, first of all, the paint color. This is called Camden Gray, if you're wondering. Now, this is wearing 17-inch wheels, but these have some plastic aero covers over the top to help smooth out the air for better aerodynamics. Now, we have contrasting black mirrors here on the side, some more plastic cladding, and we almost have like this carbon fiber look here in the trim, which gives it a bit more visual flair. And if you're looking for your charge port, you're gonna find it here on the rear left side of the car. Now, we have some funky lights back here, which actually look pretty cool at night, and it's using Sciac Vision LED lighting system. It doesn't have a light bar, and it also doesn't have a rear spoiler. It has been cut off, but that spoiler, if you add it on, actually adds additional drag, which isn't good for increasing range. So it's actually good this doesn't have a spoiler. And you also do have a rear deck lid spoiler out the back, which looks pretty aggressive. And then down below, you have a pretty sizable diffuser, but it's more for styling and smoothing out airflow. Now, we've made it to the back of the car because this is where the motor and the wheels are powered, because it's a rear-wheel drive, rear-motor electric car, which is pretty good to see because it means you can get a 50-50 weight distribution in this car, which should help with handling. Now, MG claims the range of this base model is 350 kilometers per charge. This has a top speed of only 160 kilometers an hour, but it's not too slow either. It will go 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in around 7.7 seconds. And that's thanks to this electric motor having 125 kilowatts of output, which is around 170 horsepower, and 250 newton meters of torque. Now, as expected for a base model, the boot is manually operated, but you do get this nice cargo cover and you get plenty of space here in the back. You even get an included charging cable, which is all very good. Now, when you look under the boot floor, you have a tire repair kit, but that's about it. I'm sitting on some pretty comfy cloth seats. They're very well sprung, and I do feel very comfortable back here. Now, you get blue stitching along the doors, and your windows actually go down all the way here in the back. You have one USB Type A port in the middle, and you have some storage there as well. Now, I have okay amounts of headroom in the rear as a 5'11" adult, and look, for long trips, I think I should be pretty comfortable. Now, the middle seat's also fairly comfortable too, because it's got plenty of feet room, but the seat is quite raised up and a little bit firm compared to the outer seats. Now, the steering wheel, it looks great, probably one of the best pieces here in the interior. I like the little controls to control things on your screen, everything from your driving displays through to your media controls, but they are a little bit hard to sort of navigate at first, but you get used to them pretty quick. You have some pretty good adjustment here as well. It's a telescopically adjustable steering wheel. Now, we have a little pad below the screen here. I'm going to get to that screen in a second, and you can feed a cable through here, and this isn't a wireless charging pad, it's just a storage area. Now, what I like is the packaging in here. You have plenty of space, so it feels more open. You have a very cavernous center console here, but it's not anything too special. It's just a storage area. You have a little net maybe to put your keys or any sort of smaller items there. You have a little roller cover that covers a little cubby, which is pretty useful as well. And then you have a little coffee cup symbol, which indicates that's where you should put your coffees. Now, this glove box has an okay amount of storage as well, so if you're looking for extra places to put items, you can do that. These front seats are very comfortable for cloth seats as well. I do like the blue stitching here and also on the doors, so there's a bit of a theme running throughout this car. The rotary shift dial is pretty useful. Now, something I found a bit clunky when using this car was the keyless start-stop system. system. I just wish there was a button maybe to start this car, because when I jump in here, the car is essentially just sitting in the seat and also you're pressing the brake. But then sometimes it doesn't work as smoothly to jump straight into drive, so you sort of have to sit for a second, and I found I had to pump the brake on and off to let it know that I'm sitting here. And to be honest, I need more time with the car to find out if it's annoying or something you can get used to. Now this screen here is quite a step up from other MGs. It's really responsive. I really like the look of it. It's great for Apple CarPlay, which you'll need a cable for to plug down here into your USB Type A port, but you also have a USB Type C port and a little 12-volt socket there as well for additional power. It's easy enough to find where your drive modes are, and you can put things down in a quick menu, just turn things like stability control off or lock your doors quickly. For some people, they might find it annoying that some hard buttons aren't located, like a drive mode button isn't here or anything like that, and most of your climate controls are hidden through this screen. Now you do have some hard buttons below the screen. It means that you can quickly turn off your air conditioning system, which actually adds more range, and you can also control your defrosters, your hazards. You go to a home button, which I really like. I love home buttons, especially in screens that don't have too many hard buttons for things like climate controls. And you also have volume controls here as well, which is all very useful. And look, the last complaint I'd have with the infotainment system would be the speaker system. It's just not too great, and it wasn't awesome to listen to audio in here, but it will do. But if you love listening to music, it might be a bit of a letdown. The way of cheap rear-wheel drive cars don't really exist anymore, but as we get new electric cars, a lot of them are actually rear-wheel drive, and the motor is located at the back as well. So in theory, this should be able to drift. Now, for less than half the amount of cash of an expensive EV like the Kia EV6 GT, I'm here to answer the simple question: will it drift? So there's no fancy sequence to turn on a drift mode in here. All you do is you swipe down from the top of the screen and you press ESC off. Now, from what I've heard, that allows for a lot of slippage at the rear. Since we get all of our torque, even though it's significantly less than the car I tested last week, it should send plenty of power to the rear and get some instant slip. Now, it's rear-wheel drive, rear-motored, so it's only one way to find out if this thing will actually drift. It should, in theory, just like a bit of a slide. Oh, actually, that's not too bad. Oh, here we go. Oh. Okay, all right, very interesting. So you have to sort of really get this thing playful, and then you can, maybe we have to get a bit more speed. That's what we're gonna do. Look, you can get a side, oh, there we go. Oh, ow. Yeah, some soft touch materials would be nice, but that's what you get when you save some money. Oh, come on. It doesn't want to keep the power on. It sort of cuts the power for your own safety, so. Oh. So I'm going back out here with Sport and also Regen off, and also some more safety systems off to see if that helps with getting us sideways. Because of course you want to buy a budget rear-wheel drive electric car and you want it to be able to do some drifts. So let's see how we go. So let's get this thing. Oh, that's better. Oh, a little bit, but oh yeah, a little bit. It's pretty fun though. Now look, other EVs come with a drift mode that costs a lot more than this, but I'm gonna be honest with you and say this did pretty well for a car that costs less than half the cost of that car that comes with a drift mode. So it's insane to think that we're the first people in Australia to drift an MG4. Now, it was a lot of fun, but it's not nearly as good as a car that has a dedicated drift mode and a bit more horsepower, like in the Kia EV6 GT that we tested in another video. But that car costs over $100,000, where this costs less than half that. So, I mean, if you want to have a bit of fun with a rear-wheel drive, rear-engine electric car, you can still have a pretty decent amount of fun in an MG4. Now, I'm driving to a fast charger because I actually need charge to get home from where I'm filming. Now, I'm at 48%, I have 151 kilometers presented to me here. Now, the ride's pretty smooth. I think it's due to those smaller wheels as well, where I can just roll over some bumps. There's a little bit of creaking in the rear, but nothing too excessive. Going through these corners here now, it's actually really fun. We have that 50-50 weight distribution, which means that we sort of have a really nice balance going through corners. You're nice and low down to the ground. And we're gonna do a quick little acceleration test here. So we're gonna go into sport mode first of all, which requires us to go through a menu, press once there, press twice to get in driving. We're in sport mode. So let's go up to sport mode in 3, 2, 1. It's actually pretty quick. And then mid-range acceleration is pretty nice as well. Look, it's not slow by any means. 7.7 seconds to 100 might sound, you know, not the healthiest amount to a lot of people, but to me,
it's pretty good. So if I enable cruise control, and it's got radar cruise control on board, you can see here the steering wheel will start to twitch around. So it's going to go for a corner. I'm going to guide it through the corner. It slows down quite a lot as well when you go through corners here. It's not the most refined driver assistance system I've used in a car like this. Average energy consumption for this drive has been around 20.6 kilowatt hours, which is pretty good considering I've been averaging some higher speeds, but I've been traveling around 124 kilometers and I have 147 left. So that means my real world range is just over 300 kilometers. Now, visibility at the back's not the best. You do have some intrusion from those headrests and also the fact that that window's kind of slim. Now, I found the steering in the MG4 to be pretty disconnected, but it's not the worst thing because this isn't aimed at being a driver's car. Now, the braking in this car is actually all right. Like, you lay onto the brake and it's assisted by that regen braking, but what I noticed is that regen braking doesn't really work all that well when you have 100% battery. It doesn't want to obviously feed more energy into a battery that's already filled up. So everything that's good about an electric car, like the complete silence, the instant torque, and all that sort of stuff is quite nice, as well as the fact this has batteries, so it does feel a bit more luxurious and heavier than an equivalent petrol hatchback, which can feel a bit, I guess, lightweight. So it gives you that perception of luxury where you might not have that in something that doesn't have a big battery pack underneath it. Now, if you're charging at home, to go from 0 to 300 kilometers of range using a fast charger that's installed at your home, it will take you around 9 hours and 15 minutes to get a full charge. Now, fast charging from 10 to 80% from chargers like this can take as little as 37 minutes to go from 10 to 80%. Now, they'll be using a charger that's capable of charging this thing up to 117 kilowatts, because that's how much power this can accept. Now, this charger here is just a simple 50 kilowatt fast charger, so it's going to take a little while longer to charge this. Now, what else is cool is that the MG4 is capable of bi-directional charge, so it means it can discharge its battery using an adapter.
So it's worth noting that it took 30 minutes to get this thing charged from 49% to 85%, which means I went from 149 kilometers of estimated range to around 280 kilometers of estimated range in around half an hour from a 50 kilowatt charger, which isn't too bad.
Now, is it the fastest charging EV? No. Is it the quickest EV? No. Is it the most luxurious and feature-packed EV you can buy? No. But you're the wrong buyer if you're looking for those things. There are plenty of those EVs that exist at far higher prices. Now, I've heard people call this car bargain of the century, and look, it's not far from the truth. Everyone's been asking for an affordable EV, and MG are offering one here with the MG4. And I would especially recommend this car for people who are holding on to older electric cars, like something like the Nissan Leaf. I would skip that car and look at something like this every single day.